Hello Magic fans, I'm Beef and welcome back to another standard gameplay video, this time featuring a blue, white or Azorious artifact deck focusing around Simulacrum Synthesizer, a card from the Outlaws of Thunder Junction Big Score bonus sheet. The Synthesizer is a 3 mana enchantment. It says when it ETBs, scry 2. And then whenever another artifact with mana value 3 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, create a 0/0 colourless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. So the name of the game is obviously artifacts, and then artifacts with mana value 3 or greater, and that is what we are trying to do, although not all cards in our deck are 3 or greater. So starting off, we have 2 copies of Market Gnome. Market Gnome is a 1 mana 0/3, and when it dies you gain 1 life and draw a card. That's pretty good, and also if it's exiled from the battlefield while you're activating a craft ability, you also get that trigger as well. 1 mana 0/3, obviously he's not going to trouble your opponent that much, but it can be a decent blocker. And obviously you don't mind blocking with it, because when it does die you gain that life and draw a card. And it is an artifact, so it makes your constructs bigger. Then we have 4 copies of 3 Steps Ahead, a pretty decent counter spell, which costs 3 to counter a spell, or you can pay 3 to create a token. A token as a copy of target artifact or creature. That is probably the mode we use the most. Ideally, you want to be able to counter something and copy something. And then finally, you can pay 2 to draw 2 cards and discard a card. Being able to copy a Synthesizer or some of our artifact-based removal spells is really good as well, especially when it can trigger Synthesizer. We have 2 copies of Glass Casket, a 2 mana artifact. When it ETBs, you exile target creature and opponent controls a mana value 3 or less until it leaves the battlefield. So another artifact removal spell. Obviously, it's not over 3 mana, so it doesn't trigger the Synthesizer, but it is good early removal. And on to the 3 drops. Annex Sentry, basically Glass Casket on a body. It's a 1/4, so pretty hard to take out, especially for mono red, and it's toxic 1. 3 copies of Cryptic Coat, so it's 2 mana artifact equipment. When ETBs, you cloak the top card of your library and then attach the coat to it. Cloak means you put it face down as a 2/2 with War 2. You can turn it up any time if it's mana cost, if it's a creature card. Obviously, it's not a creature card, you can't turn it up. But you can also pay 2 to return the Cryptic Coat to its owner's hand, which is a great repeatable way to trigger out the Synthesizer. We've gone over the Synthesizer. Got 1 copy of Tamio's Logbook. Did try more originally, but it's not that impactful. But I think 1's pretty good. 3 mana, and then you can pay 6 and tap it to draw a card. But that ability costs 1 less to activate for each other artifact you control. We're going to have a lot of artifacts, and this is often 4 mana, draw a card, create a huge token as well. 4 copies of Assimilation Aegis, probably one of the best cards in the deck. 3 mana equipment as well. When it ETBs, you exile up to 1 target creature until the Aegis leaves the battlefield. And then you can equip it for 2, and when it becomes attached to a creature, that creature becomes a copy of the exiled creature for as long as the Aegis is attached to it. We don't use this that often, because 1, we don't have many creatures, and most of our creatures are going to be the massive tokens, but it can be quite useful to turn your creature into a flyer. Then 3 copies of Thran Spider, a 3 mana 2/4 with Reach. Well, Reach is pretty handy as well. When it ETBs, you and target opponent each create a tapped Power Stone token. This is a great bit of ramps, as most of our deck is artifacts, and also it increases the power and toughness of our construct tokens, because it's just another token on the battlefield. And you can pay 7 to look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of the library in a random order. I don't know if I've ever used that. Usually we have better things to use our mana on, but it is there if we need to. Then 2 copies of Thousand Moons Smithy. When it ETBs, you create a white gnome soldier artifact creature token with this creature's power and toughness at each equal number of artifacts and creatures you control. So very similar to the constructs. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may tap 5 untapped artifacts and creatures you control. If you do, transform Thousand Moons Smithies, and it transforms to Barracks of the Thousand. It does enter tapped, which is slightly annoying. Well, no, it doesn't enter tapped. You can tap it as part of that tap 5 untapped artifacts on the creatures. You can tap it, and if you do, it comes into play tapped. If you don't, obviously it won't. So it taps a white, and then whenever you cast an artifact or creature spell using mana produced by the barracks, you create another one of those gnome soldier creature tokens. So another way to get some really powerful constructs and tokens onto the board. Then we've got 3 copies of Unstable Glyph Bridge, which is a board wipe. Mostly It's an artifact. When it ETBs, if you cast it, for each player choose a creature with power 2 or less that player controls, then destroy all creatures except creatures chosen this way. So it's mostly a board wipe. If your opponent has a few creatures power 2 or less, they're going to keep one. It's also great if we've got like a Thran Spider, because we can save our Thran Spider with it, or a Market Gnome, or an Annex Sentry. Cryptic Coat, if it's attached to a base creature, will be a 3/2, so it won't. But because it is an artifact, even if it wipes our entire board, we're going to get a trigger from Synthesizer after the board wipe. We can also then craft with artifact, pay 5, exile an artifact from a graveyard or from in play. It comes back as Sandswell Wonderglyph, a 5/3 flying, and whenever an opponent casts a spell during their turn, they can't attack you or Planeswalker you control this turn, and each opponent who attacked you or a Planeswalker you control this turn can't cast spells. So it's a bit of a determined stacks piece. Basically, if they cast a spell in their pre-combat main phase, they won't be able to attack, and if they wait till after their combat main phase and they attack you, they won't be able to cast spells anyway. So that's pretty good. Then we've got 3 copies of Steel Seraph, a 6 mana 5/4, but it has a prototype for 1 and 2 white when it comes in as 3/3. It's a flyer, and it says at the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gains your choice of flying, vigilance, or lifelink. This is great with the massive tokens we create with the Synthesizer, because if we're behind, it can give them the lifelink, you can just smash in and gain 10 life. Or if they're almost dead, you can give them flying and smash in and kill them. So just a really, really good combo piece with the Synthesizer. And then finally, Chimil's probably the best card in the deck, because Chimil's just an incredibly powerful card, but we don't have only 2 copies because it is legendary. So 6 mana, spells you control can't be countered, which is relevant, but hopefully by turn 6 you'll know if they've got counter spells or not, and you'll know if that's relevant. But then at the beginning of your end step, discover 5, which means exile cards from top of your library to exile non-land card in mana 5 or less. You may cast it without paying its mana cost, or put it into your hand. Put the rest of the cards on the bottom of random order. One, this is a very powerful card anyway. It's in loads of Brawl decks. But the reason this is most powerful, I think, is this deck is very mana hungry. You need to be playing 3 mana artifacts all the time. And even though we have 25 land and a bit of ramping Thran Spider, it's not generally until turn 5 or 6 of Thran Spider that you're going to be double spelling. And that's where you want the value. You want to be able to go, right, now I can get 2 or 3 constructs onto the battlefield each turn, because when you're only getting 1, it's very easy to remove. If your opponent plays a Liliana and makes you sacrifice a creature, well, you've only got 1 token. This is basically, white 6 mana, this is basically cast another 3 mana spell. If you have a Synthesizer down, this can hit every non-land in your deck, basically. And that's why, although Unstable Glyph Breach won't trigger because you won't have cast it. Oh no, it will. You just won't have cast it. This counts as casting it, and discover you still cast it. It's about paying its mana cost. So it is incredibly powerful. We only have 2 copies because it is legendary, so you don't be drawing too many. But the idea is you make the game go long until you draw that, and then you win, basically. Land base is pretty standard. Lots of we've got Adakar Waste, Deserted Beach, Restless Anchorage. Restless Anchorage, when it attacks, it creates a map token, which is an artifact, which obviously will increase the power and toughness of our constructs. And then Sea Chrome Coast. 1 copy of Aganjo, 1 copy of Adrawara, and then some basic plains and islands. We do have 25 lands. As I said, this is very mana hungry. I did have a game before I recorded it where in 27 cards I drew 7 lands and only 2 blue sources. I somehow won that game by our opponent milling himself out. But you always get to that thing of sometimes you just don't draw enough lands. And it's a deck that really needs them. So that's the deck. I hope you all enjoy it. If you do, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the gameplay. Well, we're on the draw, and we have removal and Steel Seraph, hopefully, and Chimil's an incredibly powerful card. Hopefully we can draw into things. Annex Sentry is a good draw as well for more removal, but we seem to be up against maybe mono blue aggro maybe. So we will play out the sentry. Next time we can... I'm sort of worried about playing the Thran Spider because they also have artifacts. But it will ramp us towards Chimil. Sure, it's got reach as well, so we can block their Malcator's Watcher. If we draw land, we can play Chimil next turn. Oh yeah, can't be blocked, can it? Well, there's the land. I think I will play out Chimil. Makes all our spells non-countable as well. A 6/6. Next turn we can get down the Assimilation Aegis to get rid of their Surge Engine and their Unctus probably. 2, 3, 4. 5. See, none of our spells can be countered. I'm wondering if I should not have attacked my creatures to transform the barracks. So we have 7 mana to play with. What I'm going to do is I'll play the Steel Seraph and keep up 3 steps ahead. Well, or our opponent can scoop, so I'm pretty happy with that. So we've got the Synthesizer and Chimil's really good, and we have some removal as well, and we need to draw more lands for the Glyph Bridge and obviously for Chimil. So turn 1 we can play a tapped Anchorage. Cryptic Coat's a good way to repeatedly trigger the Synthesizer. Hopefully they play a creature and then we can Annex Entry it. They do not. We draw another Annex Entry. So I'll get down the Synthesizer. There is a stick. We do need 1 more land. Actually, we do need 2 more land for Chimil as well. Oh, they're on a Smuggler Surprise deck. I would quite like to find... saw it coming. Also, we know this is going to be a land. Yeah, that's a bit annoying. So next turn we can get down Tremolo. But they do have a Pixabay which can take it out. They also have a lot of mana. I'm fairly sure they've got Smuggler Surprise. The reason I've done that is if they do surprise something in, we can Glyph Bridge to wipe the board basically. I didn't play Tremolo because there's no point with that Pixabay in hand. I would like to get at least one activation. Well, they have discarded it. Yeah, so they have all the mana they need. They get a Gishaf and a counterspell. They get a Glimpse the Core and a Glass Casket. We are going to take a big hit and they'll be able to get a lot of creatures into play, but Unstable Glyph Bridge will be able to wipe the board. Part of me hopes they hit the invasion. They do not. They hit another Glimpse the Core. Maybe I should have held that back in case they play another Gishaf. Well, they hit a few things. They do hit another Gishaf. Well, we're just dead. We're on the draw, but we do have some removal and a counterspell. Swap against mono red. Which is going to be a tough game. But next turn we can take out the Codebreaker. With the... Yeah, let's go with the Aegis to be harder for them. Well, they probably won't be able to take care of it. If they play another creature, we can, well, Glass Casket it or Annex Entry. They seem to be going on the burn route. I'm fine keeping up 3 steps ahead. Or we can even Iganjo an attacking creature. Yeah, that's an issue. But what we can do is copy a simulation Aegis. I was hoping they would attack before buffing their Swift Spear. Well, let's get down the coat as a blocker. Well, that's obviously all they can do then. Don't need more lands. Well, we are close to being in trouble. Obviously, we have to hope they do not draw a burn spell. That's what we want to see. I would quite like the Steel Seraph for life gain. Although, one more turn. And could have turned the face down card face up. So yeah, pretty good win in the end against Mono Red. Well, we've got the Synthesizer and turn 2 removal, and then Steel Seraph plus the Synthesizers. A very good combo. Beyond the draw though. So we'll play Deserted Beach turn 1, then probably Arganjo turn 2. Jamil's a really good draw as well. If they play a creature, we'll Glass Casket it, although they're just ramping. Stomper's not the best thing to Glass Casket. I don't think we need more Glyph Bridges. Well, they are proper ramping. The problem is with the Wanderer, they will just be able to exile our token, so we're going to need a few of them. Don't think we need those. Unless they Yeah. So we'll get the Steel Seraph down, assuming it's not countered. This will give us 2 tokens. And we will Glass Casket their Stomper. Maybe they have no more lies. Or protection of some kind. Play out their Ganjo. Let's give it lifelink. And then we'll play the Chimil. Discover 5. Create a few more big tokens. It's going to be half them to deal with this lot. Unless they have a sweeper, obviously. But then we can no, they do. But we can rebuild with Thousand Moons Smithy. And then obviously whatever we hit with Chimil. There's a stick. Again, they need another sweeper. Well, that'll help, I suppose.
I'll handle this
one. We'll tap, 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 tap. Create 2 more tokens.
Kneel before the Emperor of Kamigawa.
See, we can actually wipe their board with the Glyph Bridge as well. So I don't think that was as good as they thought it was. We'll take out the Wanderer. Going to put it in my hand in case they play a chump blocker. Yeah. Just too much value and too much big creatures. Tremolo is really a powerhouse in this deck. Only 2 lands and we're on the draw. But we do have a Synthesizer and a Twan Spider that can help ramp into other things. We have a lot of removal. Well, 1 removal. So hopefully we draw our 3rd land. And hopefully our Synthesizer doesn't get removed. It's not a land. We have 23 of them left in 53 cards. There was a game I played before I was recording where I won by essentially their opponent scooped when they had 1 card left in library. They moved themselves out essentially. I think I had 33 cards left and I drew 7 land and 2 blue sources. It was a bit ridiculous. But we've got our 3rd land. I'm fine with 2 ambitious farmhands. Let's get down the Synthesizer. I think I'm fine with lands. I can get down the Twan Spider as a decent blocker. And then next turn, Steel Seraph to give our big creature lifelink or vigilance or even flying. So up against kind of like a life gain deck. So they could have had a much faster start. They might have Sunfall. So maybe next turn, if they don't fire it off. I'm not actually that fussed if they do. We can rebuild quite easily. That's a good combo, but we will kill their things. So what we'll do, we'll play out a Steel Seraph. Why does it want to tap? And then I will keep up 3 steps ahead. Let's give it flying so it can smash in. They might have seen the manual taps and assume we've got something. Actually, does that bother me? No. They should, because of rabble rousing, I actually would much rather have their board clear. And that doesn't really bother me either. Well, I will play out another Synthesizer. Don't need either of those. And then I will play out an Aegis and just take out. She probably should have taken out the token. But we've got 3 7/7s. They're going to need another sweeper. I'd quite like another land so we can hold up the copy mode of 3 steps ahead. Yeah, that's fine. We'll take out the veteran. And again, keep up 3 steps ahead. I might have to counter one of their depopulates. Or if they've got a farewell, obviously that is definitely getting countered. So is that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That portal would have been annoying, but not massively so, because they didn't have a huge lot of massive amount of creatures, and obviously most of our creatures are tokens. So it wouldn't have been that back-breaking, but obviously countering it calls our opponent to scoop. So a good result. Well, we're on the play, and we have removal, and we have some draw. Obviously, we'd like some. We would like the synthesizer, obviously. Boros Convoke, maybe. I think when in doubt, let's fire it off. See, we have the Aegis if we need to do anything else. We now have 2 Aegises. I'm alright being hit for a bit. This is now down to 3, I think. As you take out the gnome, we gain a life and draw a card. It's a pretty good draw. How many player fires do they have? Master play with Steel Seraph next turn to give our Sentry life gain. Are they discarding? They are. Discard a land. And a Phoenix check. Obviously our Steel Seraph can block that. Yeah, I think I've got to start gaining some life. And obviously this can block the Phoenix check. And we can draw with the logbook. Give you lifelink. They can't deal 3 damage with 1 mana. They might be able to take out the Steel Seraph, but then we'll draw with the logbook before they do, just so we make sure we have the cost reduction. Yeah. If they've got a player fire and want to take out the market gnome, that is fine. They do not. So we have 5 mana. I think I'm going to keep up 3 steps ahead and probably just copy our assimilation Aegis. And exile their Phoenix chick. We can even draw as well. Oh, they keep on top. That's not good. We might have to counter something. The most they can do is 3. I'm gonna... It's just 2. Right. Oh, we can't draw. We will just copy then. Goodbye, Phoenix chick. And we can draw again with the logbook. Steel Seraph is a very good draw. I'm going to play it out full strength. Just so it's out of range of a few things. We'll give the Sentry lifelink. And then attack. Next turn I could make... maybe the Markinoma copy of the infantry. Obviously I would love it if our Steel Seraph survived. Are we just dead? No, we're not. They knew next turn we would just gain 5 life, and that's always going to be a hard thing for them to come back from. Well, we're on the draw, but we've got an okay hand. Obviously, some removal and the Synthesizer. We need to obviously make it to turn 3 and be in a position to play the Synthesizer. I will play the tap land. Is this Boros? Boros? It looks like it. But they don't have Gleeful Demolition. So next time we're going to take a bit of a hit. Now they've got the... Well, we don't take the hit. Do they find Imodane's Recruiter? They do not. I'm going to play the Synthesizer. Then next turn we can play the Seraph. Don't need... Actually, we do need another land, but not next turn. Next turn we can play the Seraph. Give our token... Well, our token will have Summoning Sickness. Maybe play the Thran Spider. obviously we survive another turn. We can Glyph Bridge. I will play the spider as this makes our token bigger. And hopefully we survive. We do not. Yeah, we were just far too slow there. Hello Magic fans and welcome back to the wrap up. So we played 8 games with a 75% win rate, which frankly I'm surprised at, because when I played it before I recorded, it was nowhere near as good. I did make some tweaks, but I don't think it should have been that impactful, but apparently they were. And as you can see, out of those 8 times, only 2 were on the play with a 100% win rate, and 6 won the draw with a 66% win rate. So essentially the only decks that this struggled against were very, very fast aggro decks, but not mono red. Bizarrely, we won both our mono red games because basically you get to the stage where you can get quite low and then you swarm the board with constructs, especially with Steel Seraph. If you give something lifelink, they just haven't got a chance. We did lose against a Boros deck, which maybe could have done better with, but they just got down everything. The big issue with this deck is it is pretty slow. You know, a lot of the times you get your opening hand and go, well, we haven't got anything to the turn 3 play, and hopefully you don't get run over, or hopefully you can go right turn 3 Synthesizer, turn 4 Assimilation Aegis to remove one of their creatures, get down a 3/3, then turn 5 get down a Steel Seraph or get down an Annex Entry or whatever to basically stabilise, get back into the game. So it was a lot more powerful than I expected it to be, especially from my practice runs, but surprisingly so and enjoyably so. I had a great time playing it. I don't often play blue decks, but this is a blue smashy deck, which I much prefer. Hope you all did enjoy it. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my next video.